I hope everyone is doing well this Friday, December the 30th at 3:30, Jacksonville, Florida. Two teams that I know very well. Well, because I've actually a fan secondary of the team. And then the other one has been an arch rival, bitter hated rival of my favorite team, the Clemson Tigers. But these two teams are the only two teams all season who beat my Clemson Tigers. And they're going to meet in the Gator Bowl, Jacksonville, 3:30. I believe that's NBC. I'll have to check my local listings. Maybe you should as well. But, I believe it's ESPN. It's going to be on ESPN. But I am doing a preview here for the South Carolina and Notre Dame football game. Before I go any farther, if you're brand new here, I'm not Bobby Durkins. I'm Brian Knight. Normally, I am Bobby Durkins, but not on this channel. So if you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. Also, if you're someone who's like, who's Bobby Durkins? I don't know who Bobby Durkins is. Just search Bobby Durkins. You'll find out the craziness. I know my hair's messed up in my screen here. Let's dive right into it because you care less what my hair looks like. So, both teams have had a really weird season. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I know nothing that I say, especially to Gamecock fans, is going to matter. I could say that I believe that Shane Beamer is a really talented coach, and the chickens from Columbia they're not going to hear that. They're going to hear what's going to be translated into their head as he was talking junk about us. And now we're going to say something about his mama and how terrible their football program is. And he's probably part of some type of racist militia. I mean, it's never ending. So I go into this understanding that no matter what I say, no matter how much I compliment you, no matter what I do, I've already lost. So with that understanding, I'm just going to speak freely. When Notre Dame fans, I actually have a pretty good following among Notre Dame fans, and they know I'm a Clemson fan. What a lot of people does not know is that, I know I said it, you see me wearing this, you see the Clemson garb up here in my and my wife is going to kill me if she sees this video because she's going to be like, why didn't you go to that corner where we had it cleaned for you? But it's just, this is actually where I'm recording right now. I just don't care at this moment. It's either do this or I'm just not going to go set up over here right now. Just don't tell my wife. She's be like, we made this corner really nice for you to be able to get there, and it's clean and it's not crazy like the rest of the area. You know how us men are. A lot of people does not understand that Now, Clemson is my favorite. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, it's between Clemson and Notre Dame. No, I'm going to be quite honest with you. Very transparent here. That's my team. I love Clemson. Grew up right outside of Clemson. All of my life. Went to several football games this season. Been to several football games. I have been pulling for them for a very, very long time. But for some reason, I've always liked Notre Dame. I know they're overrated. The media shoves them down everybody's throat. I know Notre Dame there's so many things that people can honestly pick them about. I have no association with the school. None of my family are Catholics. I don't know what to say other than I like them. Now, when Clemson and Notre Dame played, I was pulling for my Tigers. Almost went up there. It was the week of my 40th birthday, and I didn't. And I was bummed that Notre Dame beat them. Just going to be honest, but I do like Notre Dame. I do pull for Notre Dame. So, at the 420 mark, I am going to go ahead and say that I have watched both of these teams play a lot of football. Unfortunately, I watched both of these teams beat my favorite team this year. It was bad, especially the South Carolina loss, which, by the way, I was at the game with my oldest son, who happens to be a South Carolina fan. Thanks to his grandfather, who I love with all my heart. Yes, Splash here. The live stream is probably lagging. I have no clue why it's doing that. I went back and watched playback on this, so it's something I'm just going to have to troubleshoot. So I apologize for anyone who is experiencing any latency or whatever. Let's dive in right into this. Both teams has had a weird season. Pretty much. Weird season. Very weird season. I have South Carolina's schedule pulled up here in a secondary window. I have Notre Dame's schedule pulled up in a secondary window. I have both teams' depth charts, okay? Now, I'm going to start with Notre Dame. I'm going to start with Notre Dame's season. I'm going to talk about, well, what the crap happened. Notre Dame had a really, really interesting start of the season because they went to Columbus, they played Ohio State, and very well could have won the ball game. Notre Dame gave up a score towards the end of the ball game, made it 21-10, and you're like, oh man, they played closer with them, but it was just OSU was just too much for them. Okay. But if you were just driving by, did not watch that game, you did not see a fantastic performance by Notre Dame. I mean, I think they played very well. It's what happened after that. That did not make sense. The very next week, they come home. It's Marcus Freeman's first game as the Irish head coach at home. They lose to Marshall. Well, everybody's like, oh, Marshall must be good because on that very same day, Appalachian State went down to Texas A&M and won. It's like, what's going on with the Sun Belt Conference? Are they great? Are they good? Are they Marshall beats Notre Dame. Now, Buckner, their starting quarterback, gets hurt in that game. Drew Pine comes in. All right. The very next week, Cal comes to town. They win. Notre Dame wins. They get the first win. The next week, they're at North Carolina. Good North Carolina team. They beat North Carolina 45-32. That was a big one. Then they go out to Las Vegas. They play BYU, which BYU ended up being nothing to write home about. And they win 28-20. But hey, okay, all right. We're 3-2. We're forgetting the first part of the season. And then this is where it gets really weird. Stanford comes to town. Now, at this point, Stanford had only won 2 games all year, one of them being to Colgate. Not the toothpaste company, a school. They beat, that was one of their only wins, and Stanford beats Notre Dame at Notre Dame. All right? Then they play UNLV. They beat them. Then they play at a pretty solid Syracuse team at the time. Solid Syracuse team. Wheels fell off for them. Beat Syracuse 41-24. And then the one that I even hate bringing up, South Carolina fans should be really happy about. Clemson gets absolutely blown out 35-14. 35-14. A lot of people agrees that's when everybody knew that the whole DJ at quarterback thing was not working out. I'm not even going to talk about that. And the next week, played Navy 1, beat the crap out of Boston College, then played Southern Cal, a team that's just beefed up. They went out and bought a bunch of players. Hey, it worked for them. They used the system. If the system's going to give you that ability to do it, use it. Use it. I'm saying it. Use it. While everybody else is pounding their book of ethics and blah, 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 the truth is Southern Cal ended up being a decently, pretty doggone good team this year. Almost made the college football playoffs compared to last year when they fired their head coach 2 or 3 games in. But they lost that game. And now they're going to be playing South Carolina. So from about October 22nd forward, Notre Dame has been a totally different team. Okay, so we have to, it's almost like there was 2 seasons played in one. Now we go to South Carolina. Once again, I know without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what I say about South Carolina, no matter how much I compliment them, they have set themselves up to where they can't accept a compliment from a Clemson fan. They can't do it. It's not in their MO. I know maybe two people who can accept a compliment. One of them being my father-in-law. My father-in-law is a big Carolina fan. I've even told him, it makes no sense that you're a Carolina fan because you're nothing like them. Anyway, let's go to South Carolina's schedule. South Carolina had much of the same. They started off playing against Georgia State, beat the living crap out of them. Then they played Arkansas at Arkansas. Now, at this time, we think Arkansas is just a really good football team. Found out Arkansas is nothing to write home about. Okay. I do believe that had Arkansas and South Carolina played later in the season, there is a decent chance that South Carolina actually beats them. And for any South Carolina fans go, well, we beat you and we beat Tennessee. Yeah, I'm not arguing with that. I'm saying that. But you also have to remember that you lost to Florida the week before Tennessee. And 2 weeks before that, you lost to Missouri. So I can't guarantee that you would have beat Arkansas. But needless to say, you lost to Arkansas 44-30. The very next week, played Georgia, got your head ripped off 48-7. Played Charlotte, beat them, beat South Carolina State. Then you played Kentucky. That was an interesting game. That was a really good win for y'all at that point of the season after you'd been shellacked in the games that mattered. Beat Kentucky at Kentucky 24-14. Then you turn around and beat Texas A&M. Now let's pump the brakes right here. That night everybody was going crazy, and I think Beamer was crying. It was great. It was a great moment. Now we found, now the dust settles. In hindsight, you realize that Texas A&M was just absolutely terrible. Absolutely. No matter how many football players they went out and bought, and no matter how much they're paying their coach, they're terrible. Okay, 30-24. It's like, whoa. You're on a four-game win streak. You've had 2 solid wins back to back. Then you lose to Missouri, 23-10. Absolutely no sense. One of the most brainless losses out of your entire losses this entire season. Even with losing to Florida a few weeks later. Losing to Missouri does not make sense. Doesn't make sense. Next week, play Vanderbilt, the Fighting Doctors. You beat them. Then the next week, you lose to Florida. You just don't lose to Florida. Florida absolutely kills you. And then one of the greatest feats in sports begins to happen. Now, my son, the Gamecock fan, who I love with all my heart, but I've obviously failed him as a parent, is at this Tennessee game because my brother-in-law is a Tennessee grad and his dad is a South Carolina grad. So they went to the game and took my son. He'd never been to a South Carolina game. This is true, folks. Never been to a South Carolina game. Never been to the stadium other than driving by. Yeah. He goes to the game. And South Carolina just doesn't beat Tennessee. They emasculate them. This wasn't a 1-point win. This was a 25-point win over an incredible football team. Even before Hendon Hooker got hurt, South Carolina was still laying it on. Then the very next week, my son goes to the Clemson-South Carolina game with me. South Carolina wins. I'm just going to tell you right now, he believes he is the reason that South Carolina has won. In fact, he told me, he said, you know what? We should get this out to Beamer, that the 2 games I went to, he had monumental wins. I might be able to get free season tickets, trip down to the Gator Bowl, and maybe so. Then, of course, we were at that disappointing game the week after where Clemson loses by 1 point while their best quarterback sits on the bench. But that's another time for another time. South Carolina, enjoy your win. Enjoy it. You should. It's been counting the year you didn't play, 8 years since you tasted victory. Enjoy it. And so these 2 teams that are quite interesting are going to join each other 3:30 on Friday, ESPN in Jacksonville. The problem is who is playing and who's not playing and who's not even part of the team anymore. So Drew Pine had a very interesting conversation with Marcus Freeman. And Marcus Freeman basically tells him, thank you for your services, but yeah, we're still going to go into the portal and pick up somebody. And Drew Pine realized what that meant. It doesn't matter if I beat Clemson. It doesn't matter if I hung in there with Southern Cal. They don't believe in me. So he entered the transfer portal. And who could blame him? Tyler Buckner, the starting quarterback, very talented guy. Most likely, unless something happens, unless he gets injured, he will be starting this game. So South Carolina, this will be his first game back. Now, I mean, is he 90%? Is he 85%? Are they pushing it with putting him out there? Even if he is 100%, how will Tyler Buckner react to? I mean, his last game was against Marshall in early September. Chris Tyree will be back for this game, the running back for Notre Dame. Of course, Aldrich Estime, forgive me, I always mess up his last name. Will be back up with him. Big news, the best tight end in the country, Michael Mayer, Notre Dame. He's entered the draft. He will not play, so you don't have to deal with him. There is question whether Jarrett Patterson, the fifth-year senior at guard, is going to play. We're at this point, we don't know. We'll see. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, Isaiah Foskey, he's out. He's preparing for the draft. Cam Hart, he's out. So Bracey's going to take his place. But other than that, pretty much everybody who has been running things on the Notre Dame side of the football, I might have missed an injury here or there, but please tell me in the comments section, they will be there. Let's go to the South Carolina sideline. Okay, Spencer Rattler is starting the game, right? Spencer Rattler is definitely starting the football game. Okay, he's not. There's no reason to wonder if he's playing, if he's not playing. If whatever. But he is playing. But the problem is Juju. Okay, so Juju McDowell will have to take the place, unfortunately, of Marshawn Lloyd, and now Jaheim Bell, who would come in and play. He was tight end, but he played some running plays. I watched him play. It was fantastic. He's gone. Stogner, the tight end from Oklahoma, who transferred in with Rattler, is now transferring back to Oklahoma. I can only imagine the crap he's going to catch when he gets back to Oklahoma. You know, somebody's going to get mad at him if he does something wrong, and they're going to say, "Hey, man, you're going to get mad and transfer somewhere else." But anyway, right now, Spencer Rattler is running the show. Juju McDowell, of course, Christian Bill Smith's right behind him. At receiver, you have we have Wells, Brown, Van, and Joyner. Let me just tell you, I'm gonna pause right here. This is just a little my feelings on South Carolina football. DeCarry and Joyner, who, by the way, is the guy back in 2019 who came in at third string quarterback, only knew 5 plays at Georgia and beat Georgia. Beat Georgia. 5 plays. Has been in the background. You'll hear him. He'll come out. He'll do something great. And he'll do something kind of explosive, or you can tell that, he's kind of a gimmick player. I think that he is one of the greatest waste of talent on the South Carolina football team. Well, you got to trust coaches, man. I just don't trust blindly, folks. Trusting blindly does not make you a good fan. Trusting blindly, because I just going back to my football team, Cade Klubnik sitting on the bench. Cade Klubnik sitting on the bench and then coming out the next week against North Carolina, 39-10. I'm sorry, I don't trust you. I don't care how much money. I don't care how much you've done for Clemson. I don't care how much money they're paying you. I don't care about the young men you've graduated. I don't care all about all of that. I'm not part of a cult, folks. I'm not drinking Kool-Aid. I'm not going to go down to, instead of Jonestown, Sweeney Town and blow my brains out just because the cult leader says to. I love Sweeney, pulling for Sweeney, but I don't trust. If I can look at a man who's won 2 national championships and say that, I can definitely look at your coaching staff and say, I don't care what he does in practice. Dakereon Joyner is a fantastic athlete, and you need to use him more. He's there. Nate Adkins, tight end, taking the place of Stogner, Bell. That guy has some talent. I'm going to tell you, that guy can play. He did well against Clemson. And it stuck out. Really, really stuck out. Now, could there be a few more maybe injuries or maybe opting out that I've overlooked? Yeah, possibly. I'm not going to spend all night on a Gator Bowl. I'm sorry. I'm not just going to sit here and just spend days on talking about a Gator Bowl. Number one focus that we have to look at is the Spencer Rattler who played against Tennessee, not necessarily Clemson. He didn't have that good of a game against Clemson. He really didn't. In the second half, he did. In the first half, he was one of the reasons Clemson was winning because our coaches couldn't coach. They couldn't coach themselves out of a wet paper sack. They were too focused on making sure that a certain football player stayed at quarterback, and basically told our defense, "Sorry, you're just going to have to go back out there and play while your offense doesn't produce." Spencer Rattler in the second half did very well. First half, bad, actually. Pick six, all that much stuff. Throw interception in the end zone. Which Spencer Rattler will we see? I know, South Carolina fans, you're excited. You're wetting your drawers right now. We beat you, and you can't change that. We beat you, and you can't change that. And you make fun of us all you want to. We beat you. Yeah, you beat us. Okay, great. Notre Dame does not care that you beat Clemson because they beat Clemson too. So maybe you two can get together, become pen pals, and write to each other of how you both beat Clemson. But my question is, are you going to beat them? And what it rides on is Spencer Rattler, especially when Marshawn Lloyd, fantastic running back, is gone. Jaheim Bell, fantastic overall talent. That guy's scrappy. And Stogner is gone. That's a big deal. It's like I've been telling my Tennessee brothers and sisters. It's a big deal that Hendon Hooker's not playing, and it's a big deal that Jalen Hyatt is not playing. I know Joe Milton had a great game against Vanderbilt. My 7-year-old downstairs could go play Vanderbilt and have a pretty good game. They're that bad. Spencer Rattler is the key to South Carolina's success. And how his coaching staff can set him up for success to get the ball to someone when Marshawn Lloyd, Jaheim Bell, and Stogner is not there. That's a big deal. On the other side, Notre Dame. Tyler Buckner has not played since week 2. That's a big deal. And the best tight end in the country, overall, all-round tight end in the country. I know Georgia fans right now are going, what about Bowers? Go Dogs. Yeah, they're losing their mind. Michael Mayer will do quite well in the NFL. He's your prototypical Notre Dame tight end who goes into the NFL. I mean, he hasn't even played in the NFL yet, and unless he dies or he gets injured and he can't play anymore. Guy's going to be amazing. You're not going to have him there. That's a big, big deal. A lot of your talent's young at your skill positions. You've got a solid offensive line, as you always do. So maybe that will help. Maybe that will help open up the run. I will tell you this. Clemson, South Carolina fans tell me I have no clue in any realm of reality why Clemson stopped running the football against South Carolina. Now, this is South Carolina fans. This is what they've said to me. They have no clue why Clemson stopped running the football against them, because South Carolina couldn't stop the run. Maybe Chris Tyree and Estime has a big day. Maybe they have a world-class day. Tyler Buckner can move pretty solid. Maybe he has a big day. Maybe Marcus Freeman steps back and says, hey, you know what? We're going to take what is given to us and we're just going to run the ball. We're just going to run the ball and that's it. We'll run the ball, and if they over-dedicate to the run, maybe we throw the pass. This is a big deal for both teams. Preston Kirby just said Van for South Carolina will not play. That's a big deal. Thank you, Preston, for putting that in there. That's why I like the comment section. By the way, quick hello to everybody. Notre Dame 2164. It's good to see you. Go Irish. Parker Henderson, one of the great members of the Henderson sisters. There he is. A splashier live stream, I know. Hopefully it's not lagging. Let me see. Chase Henderson, I tell you, those two broads are fantastic. Those two guys are wonderful sisters. It's good to see Jonathan Benton, Joe Hughes, Dave Presley, Jonathan Benton adding some comments in here in Preston. Kirby, thank you for sharing that. That's why I love the comment section, because I'm going to tell you right now, it blows me away. It blows me away that a guy like me can just open up and say, hey, guys, just remind me of if anybody I might miss, maybe some information I might overlook, because this is not my full-time job. But you'll see the suits and ties on Saturday morning and during the week on these big networks. They're paid very well. The suit's very expensive, and they're missing stuff, and they actually have assistants who are telling them this stuff. They're not even getting them the right information. So it kind of makes me feel good. I admit it. So at the 27-minute, 28-minute mark, what does this really boil down to? This game is big for both coaches, not programs. This is not a big game for Notre Dame's program. Notre Dame is beyond this game. Their head coach is not. I have no problem with Marcus Freeman. But Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, he coaches for Notre Dame. This game is not big for Notre Dame. Notre Dame fans, if you really talk to them, they're like, hey, I'm excited about Notre Dame football, love Notre Dame football, but you have history behind you. A bad problem with Notre Dame. Remember, pull for them on the side. You've heard the horrible truths that I've said about Clemson. So before anybody, Notre Dame fan goes and wets their drawers, gets mad, takes their football, and goes home because they're mad. Remember, I've told the truth about Dabo Swinney, who I think the world of as a coach. He's done a lot of great things. Once again, I'm not a member of a cult. I'm going to tell the truth. And there's some weird things going on in Clemson. And the thing is, most Notre Dame fans will admit this game is beneath them. You should have never lost to Stanford. You should have never lost to Marshall. No reason. Well, it's a new no reason. But you got under no reason. But if anybody, no reason. No reason. Sorry. It's understandable losing at Columbus, Ohio. First game of the year, first regular game for Marcus Freeman. I know he coached in the bowl game. But those two games doesn't make sense. Losing to Southern Cal and one of the best teams money can buy immediately. Okay. Losing to that, that's understandable. Tax Slayer Gator Bowl is not a big deal to Notre Dame. It's big for this coaching era, not for Notre Dame. And that's the last time I want to say that. South Carolina, on the other hand, it's massive. Shane Beamer, who I have a lot of respect for. Shane Beamer, who reminds me a lot of Sweeney when Sweeney was rebuilding things at Clemson. The enthusiasm, the heart for the coaching staff, or not the coaching staff, late night, I need to go to bed, for the school, for the players, for wanting to build something special. It's there, folks. It makes me want to vomit to say this as a Clemson fan, but it is there. And Shane Beamer, if given the proper resources and the proper time, will be not only a thorn in the side of Clemson football, but in the SEC East and the SEC. I believe that. I really do believe that. I believe he has that ability to do that. I hope he doesn't. But this game is a game that a person like him, who's very good at getting people fired up and sold into the program and sold in believing everything. Believing everything that he in South Carolina football. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments as I'm talking. I got to stop that. I believe this is a game that he can build on. Do I believe that Shane Beamer wants this game more than maybe Marcus Freeman? I can't answer for Marcus Freeman. But I do know, as being a secondary Notre Dame fan, that Notre Dame fans could care less about the Gator Bowl. South Carolina, Shane Beamer sees this as a stepping stone to something greater. He beat the living crap out of the second best team he played all year. The second best team he played all year in his conference. And then you turn around and beat Clemson. I mean, I hate to say it, Clemson's not as good as Georgia is. Just I hate to say it. It makes me want to gag. There's other things there. But I will tell you this. I believe that want could be very much the difference. Could very, very well be the difference in South Carolina and Notre Dame play. But I tell you this, I'm at a toss-up with this game. I really am. Because Buckner is a good quarterback, folks. Buckner is a very good quarterback. Problem is he hadn't played in a long time. Then again, all he has to do is run the ball. He has the ability to run the ball. He has two backs that are more than capable to run the football. And Tyler Buckner can run the football as well, folks. And I am leaning towards Notre Dame wins this ball game by 3 points or less because of that. And because I am not sold that Spencer Rattler is a great quarterback. He did what he did against Tennessee. History can't be erased. He did what he did against Clemson in the second half to come back and win. He did it. Clemson played a terrible game, gave him opportunities. He didn't have to take advantage of it. He could have messed up, thrown more interceptions. Nope, he didn't. And his coaching staff put him in a place to throw the football. Throw it to the right person. But to me, this game really comes down to Spencer Rattler. And I'm leaning towards Notre Dame with a 3-point or less win, but I would not be shocked if South Carolina won this game. And if South Carolina wins this game, Shane Beamer should be hoisted on his shoulders and walked all the way back to Columbia in the most comfortable fashion, because you just hired a coach, Shane Beamer, second full season. You hired a coach, South Carolina, who was not living off of what other coaches has said about him, like Muschamp did. Muschamp's a very smart man. He's been paid a lot of money. He's not that good of a football coach. He is not. I'm sorry. Every time he took over Florida, he might be a good positions coach, maybe a good defensive coordinator. I take that back. Maybe a solid defensive coordinator. I'm not even sold on him being a good defensive coordinator, between you and I. I'm not. I don't care what Saban said about him. Saban was being nice, or maybe he was drunk. I just don't believe. I know that was harsh. I shouldn't be that harsh. But I'm just saying that's the reason that Muschamp was always cocky, was because he heard Saban say what he said. And Muschamp was very cocky. And maybe I was rude there. I shouldn't say that. What I will say is that Muschamp is not a head coach. But you hired a head coach who cares and who believes, okay? And you need to understand that. You have a coach who I believe is dedicated to winning and doing the things to win. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Gamecocks won this. I just think Notre Dame's going to edge you out because you can't stop the run. And why Clemson stopped running the ball against you, I have no clue. Absolutely no clue. I just don't think Marcus Freeman's going to make that same mistake because he does not want to lose. All right, I call this. I can't really. I could give you a score. I would say somewhere in the realm of 17-14 Notre Dame. If South Carolina wins, somewhere in there, 17-14, 20-17. I could very well see that. To me, it's a toss-up. Anybody could win this game. I could see the lacklusterness of this bowl, considering they were just in the Fiesta Bowl last year, that Notre Dame could come in really flat. And it's like, y'all, we don't even care about being here. And South Carolina is just thrilled to be there. That could be the difference. We will see. All right, well, listen, if you're brand new here, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications. It's free. It's not like I'm asking to borrow $30. And leave a comment, even if you hate everything that I said. Hit the notifications and the thumbs up. I'm Brian Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins, but I do have on good intel that Bobby Durkins is coming back. He's coming back, folks. Very, very soon. Maybe even sooner than you think. I'm Brian Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins. Even on a bad day, it's always good to be a Tiger. Go Tigers.